Mohammed, thank you very much for talking to us today. What are the main opportunities and challenges facing supply chain professionals in the Middle East and North Africa?
I think the main opportunities are the region is growing tremendously, so the rates of growth are very high compared to some of the other regions around the world. And so that presents a huge commercial opportunity for logistics companies as well as for pharmaceutical companies. And the challenge is, the supply chain strategies that these pharmaceutical companies had previously over the last 3 or 4 years. Can they actually run with the same strategies going forward? I don't think so. So they're needing to adjust their supply chain strategy. In fact, that was part of the discussions today, which is what you did in the past is not necessarily going to work in the future. So we've seen a lot of changes in the supply chain strategy. So for example, previously companies from Europe would have direct shipment models into the Middle East. Now we see more of them going in and setting up a hub and spoke network. So they would go and set up a regional distribution center and then service the Middle East market through that, as opposed to just the standard distribution channels from Europe.
You've literally just attended one of our specialised roundtable sessions here at Pharma Europe 2011. Tell us how you thought that went.
It went really well because the group of professionals around the table was of a very high caliber. They all represent senior positions within their supply chain roles of the pharmaceutical industry. So they had good, intelligent conversations going, good feedback, lots of questions. So they were learning from each other, because you could almost see one of them asking another one, look, have you done this, and what's your experience, and what have you learned from there? And maybe more so because what we were talking about there, Middle East and Africa, it's such a hot topic right now. With everything that's going on there, how do pharmaceutical companies react to this? What should they do, and what can they learn from each other? I think that was it was clearly an important point that came out of the discussion.
From what you just said, it sounds like networking plays a real part in this conference. Is that, in your opinion, the main draw of the conference?
Absolutely. I think networking is one of the main draws, and the second thing is learning from your peer groups, because these guys have a healthy respect for each other. We even had other service providers like ourselves sitting in our session, around the round table, listening to what we had to say. There's a good feeling around the group. Definitely yes, networking and also learning from your peers was one of the biggest advantages and takeaways.
You mentioned how service providers help pharmaceutical supply chain professionals. How does Agility go about helping those professionals overcome the challenges in the market?
Well, what we have is a very unique value proposition in the Middle East. So we are an asset-based company. We have invested in dedicated pharma facilities. We have dedicated transport assets to pharma, because supply chain integrity, for example, cold chain monitoring is one of the big issues for pharmaceutical companies. So by having our own assets, we have more control. We train our people better. We have, and what's a given in most mature markets is not necessarily a given in the underdeveloped or the emerging markets. So by investing in assets, we've been able to help some of these pharmaceutical companies take advantage of the commercial opportunities that are available there, and actually use our distribution channels to be able to go out and meet their clients' demands.
Obviously, there are a fair few industry events in this sector. What was your reasoning for taking part in Pharma Europe 2011 particularly?
Well, I did it for the first time last year. I came to the Pharma event last year, and the main draw for me was when I looked at the client list and looked at who was actually coming out here. Now with the supply chain setups, the way the pharma companies are organized, they usually have a Europe, Middle East and Africa combined role that is normally based somewhere in Europe. So the key decision makers from all these pharma companies, they're here. And when I looked at the client list last year, I definitely wanted to be there, and I came out. So that was the first time that I came out and felt that there was tremendous value here, and great networking opportunities, and we even managed to get some business out of being here last year. So this year it was a no-brainer coming back.